Hello, welcome to this episode of our Scott Parts videos, and in this one we're going to show you how to fit and time a Magneto on a Scott. So this is a standard Flyer Magneto platform. So this was fitted to most of the Scotts from late 20s onwards. The earlier ones, there was a couple of different types. We won't go through those into this. This is the most common type. This brass casting here is the Magneto platform, as it's called. And on top of this, it just has a flat surface, and various different types of magnetos and magdinos were fitted because it just fitted on the flat surface. This particular type is an MDA2, which is a late 20s. Magneto is in the bottom section here, dynamo in the top, hence the name Magdino. And they're all driven by a 22th sprocket, which sits on here with an 1/8 inch wide chain which goes off the 22th sprocket on the right hand side of the flywheel on the engine. So we have a 1-to-1 gearing, and therefore, the Scott being a twin, we have the MDA2 being a 2-cylinder Magneto. We've got one pickup on this side, one pickup on this side, and we have the points and slip ring on the back here. So the first thing we need to do before we even put this on the bike is, it makes the job much easier if we put a few marks and notes on the Magneto while it's on the bench. So we'll show you doing that, and then we'll get it on the bike and get this timed up. So this is the Magneto, and the first thing I'm going to do, which I always do, is if we look at the back here, we've got the points and we've got the cam ring. And the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure the points gap is correct. Now on Lucas Magdinos, all we do is we turn it round, so we obviously fit the cam ring, we turn it round and we use a feeler gauge to check the gap on the points there. It should be on Lucas's 12 to 15th thou. So because it's a twin, we should check both sides and make sure there's not a great difference between them. If there is, it means the cam ring is off centre, and you can do various things. You can stone them, you can regrind them and such like, but you need to get them somewhere similar. If you've got 5 thou opening one side and 30 on the other, the engine is never going to run right. So first thing to do is that. I've already done it on this Magneto. And the next job, which you can see here, is I've put some yellow paint marks on using just a paint marker pen here. And the reason I've done that is it makes it much easier to time if you mark where the points are just about to open. You can also see that I've put an arrow here for the direction of rotation to make sure that I don't get it wrong. So what we do is, I've got a yellow paint mark on the foot of the cam, so I am going to put a scribe mark down through the centre of that. There we are, so it's nice and thin, scribe mark through that paint. I'm then going to turn the Magneto round until the points are just about to open, and you can feel when that's happening, and also you can see it by looking at the points here. And that's there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a paint mark on, I'll scratch through the paint mark on the cam ring at that point there, and then I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to do the same on the opposite side, because a Magneto will spark just at the point where the points open. There we are, there's that one. And because the cam ring rotates as we use the advance and retard, those marks will always be the point where the engine fires. So you can see here I've got two marks 180 degrees apart, where they line up there and where they line up there, and I know that that's the point where this Magneto will send the spark. Now the other thing to do is, because this is a twin, is that we need to know which plug lead goes on which side, and it doesn't actually matter as far as long as they're the right way around to each other. So what I do is that as the Magneto sits on the bike, I always mark, so this would be looking on the rotation end, this is the back of the bike here, I always do an R there, so rear and right, RR, rear right, and therefore the front is the left, and that's the way that I always mark these up. And if we look inside down where the points go here, you can see that on the slip ring inside the Magneto there is a brass segment. Now what we do is that if we turn the Magneto around so one of our timing marks lines up, and we look and see which window that segment's in, on this one it's the L. So I'm going to put that one to the left hand plug lead, and if I mark it on here you can see that I've put an L beside here as well. So I know when those two marks line up, that is the left hand plug lead, and the left hand plug lead is going to come from the front of here. And obviously the other side, if we go around and we put it on the right, which is there, we can see that the brass segment's now showing on the R, which is rear and right. And it just means that we can get the plug leads the right way around to start with without us messing about having to swap them. So there we are, I've put all the marks that I want to on this, and it's time to fit it to the bike now. So the Scott Magneto platform just sits on these slotted brackets here, and some types have no adjusters, and some types have on one side and some types have them on both sides, so there's lots of different types available. So there we are, we've got that in there now, and we can see that this Magneto platform needs to be a good fit, particularly at the front, because it's constrained by the engine and the frame here, and we can see on the back of this one there's actually a gap there, so I'm going to have to make a spacer to fill that up, because otherwise it's going to bend all the brackets when we tighten it up. So I will do that after I have put these in loosely at the front. We've got the 4 bolts loosely in this platform now, and you can see that on the Scott, this platform, it slides backwards and forwards like this, and that gives us our chain adjustment. So next job is we're going to hook the chain over here, and we're going to roughly set the chain adjustment, because it needs to be pretty close in order to do the timing, because if the chain's slack you'll never get the timing accurately. And doing the chains on Scotts is always good fun, because they're buried away down in here. It's usually good to have a couple of friends handy, bit of welding wire and an extendy magnet. These certainly help to be able to get chains around sprockets and pick chains up and such like. And of course on a Scott, the chain goes through the Magneto platform, which is why you've got to do it this way around. We've got the chain hooked on there. I haven't put the spring link in it yet, but at least the chain is over. We've got the Magneto platform all the way forward, and there's a bit of play in the chain, so that should be able to adjust up nicely. So next job, we're just going to slacken this nut, pull the sprocket off such that it's not sat tight on the tapers. We'll put the spring link into that, and then we can start timing the engine. So I've set the chain tension, we've adjusted the Magneto platform backwards and forwards to get the right tension, and we're looking for about ½ an inch of up and down play in the centre of the chain run, which is pretty much what we've got here. And we'll check that in a few different places, just turning the engine over on the Kickstarter. You can also pop it in gear and spin it on the rear wheel if you want. So that seems okay there. Yep, that's okay. So we'll head round the other side. First I'm going to just slacken off the nut and pull the sprocket off its taper so I can turn the engine and the Magneto independently of each other to set the timing. We'll go around the other side, and I'm going to do the timing on the left hand cylinder because the points are on the left hand side of the magneto as well, and it means I can see the cylinder position and I can see the magneto points both on the same side of the bike. So let's run around there and do that. So a couple of last setup jobs before we do the timing finally. On the Lucas magnetos, we've got the advanced retard cable connected, so we need to make sure on Lucas tight cable is fully advanced, so we need to make sure that we've got our magneto lever with the cable tight, so that's fully advanced there. And also here's a TDC tool, which all I've done is trim about 15mm off the bottom of it so it suits the Scott, and it'll go in beside the radiator, and you can buy these tools on our website, by the way. I've put the engine into gear, and just all I can do is use my hand. I can turn the rear wheel, and it means I can spin the engine over slowly. And if we do that, we'll be able to watch our TDC tool. There it goes. So I can see on this tool here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the video, that it's just saying 4 centimetres there. So on our tool here we know that 4 centimetres, I hope we can see that there, was top dead centre. So what I've done is I've just used a pen, a Sharpie pen, coloured it in black, and I've put a mark 5mm above that. This is a new engine, so we're going to run the engine in, and usually for timing I would set the engine at 5mm for running in and slow use, pottering about, and the earlier engines. And later flyers, if you really want to get them to sing, I would set them at 6.5mm, just to give you an idea where we are. So I'm going to set this one at 5 until it's run in, and I'll advise the customer to change it to 6.5 once they've got about 1,000 miles on the engine. Right, that's it. So we've got our timing mark there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my hand here. I'm going to turn the engine backwards, and you can see that our marks have disappeared. I'm now going to slowly turn the engine forwards until our mark just appears, and that will be the engine on the left hand cylinder 5mm before top dead centre. It's coming around, honest. Yeah. And there's our mark. Right, so the left hand cylinder here is now at 5mm before top dead centre, which is where we want it to spark. We have our lever, tight cable here. There we are, there's our tight cable, fully advanced. And now if you remember the left and right that I wrote on here, remember our sprocket is loose on this, so I can turn this independent of the engine. This is the left hand, so I need to turn the magneto round using the points here until I line up my 2 marks, which you can see here beside the L, the left hand cylinder. Right, if I tighten up that magneto sprocket there, that's our timing done, and we've got 5mm fully advanced, and that should be nice for this engine. So round the other side, I'll put my hand over, nip that up, and then we'll spin the engine over once and double check all our measurements, and we'll be good to go. I've nipped up our bolt here. I'll tighten that up properly, so we'll just run around the other side, double check. You can see I've got the engine in 3rd gear here, which makes it easier to turn over. We'll pop round this side. I'm just going to use my hand on the rear wheel again. So we'll turn this over until we just see our timing marks appear on the left hand cylinder. Oops, a bit too far. And we just edge that forward. There's our mark. Put on, and we'll have a look at the magneto, and you can see here that there's our two lines here lining up, and we're on the left hand side. That's it, job done. This engine's timed. We'll put the plug leads on. We already know that the left hand plug lead is going to go to the front because we put those marks on earlier, and then we'll put some fuel in this and see if we can get the old girl started. There you are, only a short video, this one, but I hope you've enjoyed seeing it. How to quickly time a Scott Magneto. There's 100 different ways. This is the way we use. We're not saying it's other ways aren't better or equal or whatever else, but we find this easy, and it means that because we've got those paint marks and such like on the Magneto, it means that in future it's very easy to check. We can just pop off the end cap on the Magneto and have a look, and we know where the timing is. So hope you've enjoyed it. Keep watching, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back with more videos soon. Cheers.